Hello, and welcome to my presentation for the 2019 Architecture, Media, Politics, Society Conference titled Supporting Developmental Relationships with Coaching Techniques in a Design Capstone Course. Before I get into the presentation, I wanted to share a bit about myself and let you know my qualifications and experience that led to this work. My name is Cindy Beacham, and I'm a professor of design at West Virginia University. My background is interior design, and I was a corporate designer and project manager for almost 20 years before moving into academia. I taught in and led the interior design program for several years before identifying a need for something a little different within our department. To address this need, I led the effort to design and implement WVU's Design Studies major and have been the program chair ever since its inception in 2007. I've taught all levels of students and currently work with them closely as they begin to translate their academic experiences into professional careers. It's these experiences as students move to professional arenas that inspired the project to use coaching techniques to provide networking skills to our budding professionals. What I'm going to talk to you about today is a teaching project I designed for our senior capstone course. I'll be describing the design features of the project and talk about its application in the classroom. I'll also provide the anticipated learning outcomes, student examples and responses to the project, and finally, the benefits and challenges of this type of assignment. The project was designed for the Design Studies capstone course that students take in the fall of their senior year. They've just finished a summer internship where they've been exposed to professional expectations of their chosen field and are now generally ready to just be done with school and out in the working world. Some of our students graduate immediately after the course. Some finish at the end of the following spring semester. But as excited as they are about graduation, it's during this course that reality begins to set in, and they start to get just a little nervous about leaving the safety of school for the unknowns of professional life. As such, the capstone course is the ideal place to address the creation of developmental relationships that provide students with the opportunity to establish their own personalized network prior to graduation. This project, if students will really engage in it, gives them tools to help with the transition and contacts to give them a safety net while moving forward into professional life. Students today face many challenges not present in past years of job searching. To prepare them more fully to move into a career position, it's important for them to have relevant contact with individuals who can help to guide them in a variety of different arenas. This project helps students understand the importance of varied network contacts, provides tools to help them curate their first set of developmental relationships, and gives them strategies to assure their mentor team can provide them guidance in a variety of areas throughout their lives. It also helps them by introducing a new approach to networking, which is often seen as a terrifying activity in the best of conditions. Since this is a somewhat unique approach to traditional networking, a different academic approach is also necessary. Using the coaching model in the classroom helps to give students more individualized attention and expands their ability to make good decisions about networking choices. Ultimately, the goal of this project is to help students successfully transition from school to work and have the resources to be successful in their initial career choice. Additionally, it may provide ongoing strategies that can support their professional and personal growth throughout their lifetime. Now, this project was based on the developmental networking research of Kathy Cram and the coaching work of Hawkins and Smith. The assignment itself is an adaptation and redesign, with permission, of a developmental network exercise created for a nursing program. Historically, newly minted professionals would search for a mentor in their chosen field and hope to be guided by this person for many years. However, given the vast changes in our professional landscape, students and new professionals today are better served by a more broad-based network that is planned, cultivated, and regularly revisited. A developmental network is a group of individuals representing different networking areas chosen to guide a novice professional in different areas of their life. These networking areas of focus may include academic, industry professionals, personal, and other areas relevant to the stage and context of their life and work. Dr. Cram identified 4 steps that provide the foundation for people to make developmental networking choices. The first step is to know yourself. You need to understand who you are, your priorities, philosophies, interests, and commitments. By clarifying and articulating what is important to you, you can choose network partners that help you achieve your goal. Next, you need to know your career context. Most professions today have multiple areas you can concentrate on within the broad context of the profession. Being aware of these different options makes for better network partner choices to help you position yourself appropriately. Third, you really need to enlist potential partners. This is your action step where you actively recruit people to be part of your developmental network group. This step takes time and careful planning, but can be invaluable to meeting your professional goals. And finally, regularly assess your network. Rarely do any of us stay in one location within one company focused on one set of responsibilities throughout our entire career. As we grow professionally, as our personal lives evolve, and as our priorities change, it's necessary to review our network to make sure they are still relevant to our situation. Coaching is a method of supporting individuals both professionally and personally that is growing and attracting a great deal of attention. The International Coaching Federation explains that coaching is partnering with clients in a thought-provoking and creative process that inspires them to maximize their personal and professional potential. Multiple forms of coaching are available to suit the needs of the client, including performance coaching, creativity coaching, developmental coaching, and transformational coaching. Each approach has different strategies and seeks different outcomes. Transformational coaching is a form of coaching that helps clients create fundamental shifts in their lives by transforming their approach to thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. According to Hawkins and Smith, in their book chapter titled Transformation Coaching, this coaching approach provides the best results when coachees, in our case students, need to create a radical shift in the way they operate and need to do it in a very short time frame. Students facing graduation often find it necessary to transform their lives in significant ways within a limited amount of time. As a result, transformational coaching strategies are ideal to help them understand and embrace the importance of creating their own developmental networks. One format within the transformational coaching approach is the CLEAR model that includes 5 stages: contracting, listening, exploring, taking action, and reviewing, as we see illustrated in this slide. By implementing this approach in the classroom, faculty can support students better as they transition into professional life. The stages of this coaching model correspond well to Cram's steps for building strong developmental networks, as we see in this table. Along the left side, we see Dr. Cram's 4 steps, including know yourself, know your career context, enlist potential partners, and finally, regularly reassess your network. Along the top, we find the CLEAR coaching activities that refer to faculty and student activities related to helping students create their developmental networks. These include contracting, listening, exploring, action, and review. Each cell has example activities that relate to the intersection of the categories provided, and you can see that early on in the process, the faculty member is more visible. Then, as the project progresses, the student activities begin to take center stage. As you would expect, there are many activities that would be appropriate for each intersecting cell, but I've included some of the most basic and relevant activities that were initiated in my own pilot project to help students with the expectations. So this chart summarizes the foundational relationship between coaching and developmental networking that I've used to design the details of the project that we'll be discussing next. The assignment itself consists of several elements, and to make sure students are clear about the expectations, I created a packet to explain the different components they need to submit and a one-sheet summary of what they were required to turn in for review and grade. The packet was their Bible as they moved through the developmental network assignment. First, the importance of networking and mentorship was explained and illustrated with a model. I'd like to think students are more involved in an assignment when they understand the whys of each part, so I tend to include that type of information in each assignment I design. Then, students were provided with information on identifying and mapping their developmental network and instructions on creating the visual map that gives them a picture of the characteristics of their network as a whole. Once the map was completed, they needed to analyze the information included and their identified partners, so an organizational strategy was included to help them with this process. In addition to narrative, I also included examples of the network table and the network map I expected them to complete, and I'll show both of these to you in a minute. The assignment sheet was separate and included the summary of exactly what they were to turn in. Given that I wanted them to learn a pretty specific process and show me that they were able to follow that process, I chose to be pretty pointed about my expectations. They were to hand in their network table and map, the analysis of each network partner, and a short discussion of how each person would contribute to their professional or personal goals, their conclusions about the current network they identified, and finally, responses of the network partners they contacted when they requested their participation. Also, I required a short communication plan for continuing to stay in touch with their network partners for the upcoming year. A grading rubric was created and posted on the course website to reinforce their understanding of the project expectations. Again, this project is an adaptation of an exercise created by Kathy Cram, Jean Emmons, Maxine Milstein, Ellen Seeley, and Audrey Haas for nurses in several Boston hospitals. To provide a starting point, students were to use the network table to begin to identify potential partners for their network. I gave them a standard format to use in order to help them become familiar with the process. As they personalize this process in the future, they may choose to revise this format into something that works better for them in their particular circumstance. To begin the process, they were to identify their current career goal and place that at the top of the page to remind them of the focus of their choices. The potential network partners were organized into 4 groups: people who could help them identify and secure positions, people who could help them perform their current or new job responsibilities, people who may help them advance their career and help with future professional plans, and finally, people who could provide personal support. Each of these roles was associated with a particular shape. As they identified people who might fit into each category, they organized names based on their current relationship with them: close, moderate, or distant. They also defined networking areas each person is associated with: academic, industry, professional, personal, or other. Each of these areas was illustrated with a specific color. The colors and shapes take on a significant meaning as the students begin to visually map their networking choices. This slide gives you an example of the developmental network map each student produced based on the network table they created as described in the previous slide. They were given a template showing themselves in the center and a circle divided into 4 different colored sections. Each color is associated with one of the network partner areas from the table: academic, industry, personal, or other. For each person identified in the table, students were to position them by initials in the colored section associated with their current area. Then they were to show the networking role or focus by using the shape associated with that role. Square for helping to identify positions, circle with performance of job, triangle with advancing their career, and star with personal support. Once each person was in place and identified by their role, a line was drawn from the center, representing the student, to that person. The type of line illustrated the student's current relationship with that person: close, moderate, or distant, or aspirational. Upon completion of the visual map, students were able to more clearly see how their network was distributed among all of the categories. While to some this may seem like a lot of work for not a lot of return, when you consider that these are design students and visual language is their currency of choice, this type of illustration is invaluable for giving them a quick understanding of the situation. So once the map was completed, the project did not end there. Students were to use the visual to analyze their current network partner choices based on several criteria. These included diversity, redundancy, interconnectivity, strength of connection, balance, connections to power and influence, and size. By going through this analysis, they could then make decisions about necessary additions, deletions, and changes they wanted to make in order to strengthen different parts of their networking options. Learning outcomes are a fundamental part of any project. All of the students in this course have had me in several previous courses, so we've built a trust based on the fact that they know I hate busy work and that every assignment and project I give them has a clear set of learning outcomes that will help them in the future. For this project, I identified 5 outcomes that were provided to students at the beginning to help them understand the why of the project itself. At the end of the project, students should be able to understand and describe the characteristics of a developmental network, identify network partners, visually illustrate the chosen partners and their characteristics, analyze and synthesize partner contributions, and revise that network based on their analysis of the partners included. Coaching was a particularly important teaching tool that allowed me to interact on both a personal basis as well as in a group setting to help each student individualize their network choices and develop strategies for recruiting each partner to participate in the network support of the students. Student observations of the project and responses to the network they created were overwhelmingly positive, and specific comments such as those included on the slide illustrate the benefits they feel they got from the activity. Given that this was a pilot project, I foresee improvements in the future that will help students even more as they develop their own ongoing networks. No assignment comes without challenges. As the first time through, we kept a continuing dialogue open so that we could resolve any questions or concerns as they arose. This was a part of the coaching model and provided a safety net for the students when they began to feel uncomfortable or overwhelmed. Since the project requirements pushed them to interact with professionals in their field, and often people they did not know directly, confidence and experience were typically challenges that we had to deal with. When students would feel they were not prepared to approach a person they did not know, we sometimes needed to develop practices to help them increase their confidence, such as role-playing. Sometimes they simply did not know enough about their professional industry to give them exposure to possible network partner options. Again, using the coaching model, we identified strategies of research and other possible connections to help them expand their exposure and understanding of their chosen field. As graduating seniors, motivation to do any type of work is often a problem. So by structuring this project to give them tools to help with the transition from school to professional work, the motivation became stronger since they felt they were making progress toward their new life. And of course, the benefits are somewhat obvious, and the ones identified are just the beginning of how this activity can help both students and professionals as they move through their career. The main benefit, of course, is that students graduate with a set of developmental network partners in place. And by providing an organizational strategy, tools, and templates for identifying their network, they have a clear path to action that helps them integrate into their profession more easily. With analysis and evaluation skills, they can keep their network updated based on their current life situation. And since they can visualize it by using their mapping tools, the revision of their current network becomes an easy, ongoing, and necessary activity. So in conclusion, design students today can benefit greatly from having individualized developmental network groups as they move from school to new professional positions. To establish these networks, the project I've presented today gives them an organizational strategy to identify appropriate individuals and recruit them as part of their network. The steps identified by Kathy Cram in her research walk the students through an evaluation process that leads to their choices. By implementing clear coaching approaches within the classroom, faculty can support the individualized need of each student as they work through the identification, choice, and recruitment stages of the networking process. The pilot of this assignment was implemented in a senior capstone class within the Design Studies major at West Virginia University. The overall student response to the activity was positive. They were able to not only list individuals who could assist them in their profession, but they were also able to analyze the relevance of each person, provide visual representations of their choices that led to a reevaluation of their network, and finally, each student completed the course with a set of individuals who had agreed to partner with them in their immediate professional journey. Thank you all for being part of this presentation, and if you have any questions or would like more information about the assignment or student responses, please feel free to get in touch with me using the email address on this slide. Thank you again.